Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we're just going to have a little chat about them there big Tau guns. Okay, so I'm in a little bit of a conundrum here, and I would like your input, because I'm starting to wonder whether the changes to the Tau big guns, the Railgun and the Pulse Blastcannon, are in fact not bad changes. They just make other guns look bad by comparison. They're not necessarily overpowered or completely broken, but they highlight just how horrendously swingy other weapons are. So, if you look at, say, the Pulse Blastcannon that goes on the Storm Surge, it was revealed yesterday, made a stupid little jokey video about Imperial Knights getting wasted. The actual chances of pulling that off, not all that high. If you're using a focus shot, it's only 2 shots, it's 24-inch range. The Storm Surge is also slow and kind of papery, so the chances of getting that turn 1 kill on a full Imperial Knight, not a little baby one, a proper one, it's not actually all that likely. It's not guaranteed to happen every single time you put this thing on the tabletop, and of course it's going to be a massive fire magnet if you've got a Titanic unit of your own, because oh dear God. Also, I suppose anything tracked or hovery, tanks just not going to have a good time around it. But is it that the guns are like absurdly strong? Is it that they're like broken? I don't necessarily think that they are. I think they just highlight how completely underwhelming some other guns are. See, I was looking at the Pulse Blastcannon in particular. So you've got two different shots. You've got the focus shot, which is a 24-inch range. Heavy 2, strength 16, AP -4, damage 12. That's pretty nice. That's kind of good. You'll notice something with that particular stat line though. There's a total lack of D. Like as in, there's no D6. There's no 2D6, 3D6, 3D3, 4Ds. Well, like there's no like changeable thing. It's just static. That's just what it is. That's what it does. It fires 2 shots and it does 12 damage. That's just how that gun works. Same thing with dispersed shot. So with dispersed shot, you got a 48-inch range, heavy 6, so you're guaranteed 6 shots. You got strength 12, AP -2, and damage 4. So you've got more shots, slightly less damage, slightly less everything, but that's still guaranteed to do that many shots and cause that amount of damage. And on the surface of it, it looks like really strong. But I'm used to playing Chaos Knights. I'm not just used to playing Chaos Knights, but I've also been messing about with my Armoured Company and getting that ready for games as well. And Leman Russes and Knights in general are really swingy in terms of their weapons. So a comparison. The thermal cannon, for instance, heavy D6. So you've got a potential of 6 shots, or 1 shot. Those are 2 things you're equally likely to get both, and then when it comes to damage, you're looking at D6. It's strength 9, AP -4. It's not a bad gun, but you could fire 1 shot off and do 1 damage, which is super underwhelming, especially when you compare it to, say, the Pulse Blastcannon, where you are guaranteed 6 shots or 2 shots every single time you use it. Another comparison would be the Shadow Sword. I may have one ready to put together, which is one of the reasons why I was looking at this earlier. So, Volcano Cannon on the Shadow Sword. This is a literal Titan killing weapon. That's what this is for. It's made for that. It is heavy 3d3, strength 16, AP -5, and 2d6 damage. Now you can reroll failed wound rolls when targeting Titanic units, which makes sense because it is a Titan killer, but this thing is like the epitome of swing. This sums up like the swingy nature of all these other guns compared to these new Tau weapons, because you could potentially do a whopping 6 damage with a Volcano Cannon, an actual anti-Titan weapon. Now, you could go, well, that's kind of fluffy for what the Volcano Cannon is, and indeed there's an argument to be made that Tau weapons should not be swingy. They should be the best thing they have. They should be better than other people's because that is their entire strength. But when it comes to swing, comparative swing compared to, say, 2 shots that do strength 16 damage that have, like, it's guaranteed to be 12 damage, you can't get a better example than the Volcano Cannon, because you could do 6, which is absolutely rubbish. It's terrible. On the other hand, if you rolled exceptionally well, and you would have to roll terribly to get 6 damage out of it, you could also do over 100, which kind of sums it all up for me. See, I'm wondering whether a lot of the kind of reaction to this that I know I've been having at least, is the fact that there are so many weapons that I look at that are swingy, that you have a certain number of dice for how many shots you get, and you have a certain number of dice for how much damage you do. I mean, the Lehman Russ tanks are such a good example of this, whereas that is just totally lacking. There's none of that with the Pulse Blastcannon, there's none of that with the Railgun. It just does what it says, and there's no variation. It is a static number of shots and a static amount of damage. That's just what it does. It doesn't feel swingy. It doesn't feel like there's a chance there to totally screw it up, or to, you know, put all your hopes in this shot to pull it off and get a good amount of damage. It just always does that thing that it does, and that's actually kind of rare for the stuff that you find on this style of unit. Increasingly, I'm thinking I just like the reliability of it, the fact that it's more consistent. The thing is, I'm not sure I want it to completely be like that for every single gun. There is something to be said for the fact that Tau need to have reliable shooting and reliable weaponry. That is what their entire army is based around. They are a gunline army. They're massively high-tech. They actually have new weapons, not ones that have been maintained for centuries. So it does make sense that they would have something that is a tad more reliable than, say, a 1,000-year-old Volcano cannon or whatever. But I don't know whether I want everything to be as swingy as it is currently. See, there's like two different ways you could do it to maintain some of that swing, but bring it a bit closer to what these new Tau guns actually offer. I think my issue is the weapons that have a D6 like number of shots, or like a dice number of shots and a dice amount of damage, because it means that they can be vastly underwhelming all really, really good. Like, it feels like the curve is really extreme on those, especially compared to the new Tau weapons. Whereas, if you have a dice value for shots and then a flat amount of damage, or a flat number of shots and then a dice amount of damage, it kind of brings the minimum up. The maximum is still decent, the maximum could still surprise you, but it's not a case of piling all your hopes into a shot, but the shot ends up doing 1. Because that's just underwhelming. I don't think that's necessarily fun, and I also don't think it rewards play, necessarily. I think if you've managed to position your stuff really well, and then your dice just go, no, you're going to get a 1 and a 1, that doesn't actually mean that you've failed at anything. You've just not done that well with that shot, which, I mean, I know the whole game is dice-based. It's all down to luck in the end, but there are certain plays that you could pull off that would be super impressive if only it wasn't for the fact that the gun is just massively underwhelming if you roll badly, when there are other weapons on the table that just don't have that issue whatsoever, and end up being comparatively far stronger, even though actually yours could potentially do more. It's just, it has that like reliability curve that the other one doesn't have. It's a weird one, because I kind of keep swinging back between, well, yeah, that means they are kind of strong, because compared to other things, they are super reliable. But then things like the thermal cannon, things like the battle cannon, things like the Volcano cannon, for God's sake, could they stand to just be more reliable as a baseline? I think they probably could, and I wouldn't think that it was a bad thing if they were improved in that way. But I leave it to you. I'm handing the question over to you. To be really interested to see what you think as to whether that is why the reaction has been as it has been, because we're just so used to such swingy weapons, especially on Titanic platforms, that these seem really exceptionally good, when actually, I mean, they're on par with, if you roll decently, with plenty of other guns. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which you can use to support the channel if you'd like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.